good. All right, so by popular demand, not really, but I'm going to tell my UFO story. The unedited version that I have only told a very few people about because the response I usually get from it's usually either negative or people just think I'm crazy. So anyway, let me set the stage. It was about 1996, roughly right in there. And I was visiting a friend of mine down in Sierra Vista. And in Sierra Vista, you can see the mountain range. It's about 5 miles away, right? And then at night, you can see this little blimp. They have a blimp there that has a little light on it, and it's got a radar on it, right? And it's probably like 30 or 40 feet long or whatever. So anyways, back during that time, in the mid 90s, we didn't have, internet or anything like that. Can you look at me? And then, so we only paid attention to like local news and things like that. Maybe we'd see something about Tucson, but we never knew what was going on in Phoenix. So during this time, I found out years later about the Phoenix lights. So I'm not sure if it happened during that time or that exact same day, but somewhere around there, right? So anyways, we're down there and it's, I don't know, maybe 9:30, 10:30 at night. It's not late because we have to go back to Tucson later on that night. We were down there picking up a amp or something. All these guys were in a band, so they, musical instruments and stuff like that. And I tried learning the guitar a little bit. I could do like harmonics and a couple of chords, but I couldn't really do much with that. So anyways, we were down there and it was nighttime and he's got a bunch of dogs running around. We're sitting, he's got this little oasis. We're all sitting around this fire pit, right? So all of a sudden the dogs start freaking out, right? And we're like, what's going on? And he's playing guitar or whatever, jamming out with stupid songs. It's pretty funny. We're just having a good time. And so they start running towards the mountain or towards the front gate, which is like an acre property. And it's nighttime. You can see some stars, a little bit of moon glow, but you can't really see anything. So anyways, these dogs are barking. They run towards the gate and there's like 5 of us. So we were standing there looking at we all get up and walk over to look at the dogs, right? Okay. So, and then all of a sudden we look up in the sky and there is a massive, and I mean massive, triangular craft coming over us really slowly. And it's absolutely massive. I mean, huge. And it's cruising along super slow. And as it just completely blacked out the stars in that formation so we could see the shape of it. Anyway, so as it's going forward, the dogs have stopped barking now and we're all just in awe. And then you can see the back, and on the back there were 2 big like reddish orange lights, okay? And this thing is huge. It's hundreds of feet long. It's we guessed it at about 200 feet by maybe 100 feet long, and it's huge. So anyways, these big glowing orange lights on the back of it. And as it's going down, it's going really slow. So something that big really can't make any turns anyways, I guess. Anyways, so it's going down and now we can see that little blimp I had mentioned, right? And from the blimp, we could start gauging how big it was. So we had time to discuss how huge this thing was. And it was absolutely the biggest thing. It was like a starship destroyer. What's the name of the battleships in Star Wars?
Star Destroyers.
The Star Destroyer or something like that.
It's been a while, so
yeah.
I think Star Destroyer.
So it's something like that. So as it's cruising down, it starts to turn, and then we can see the nose of it. The nose of it has another big yellowish, reddish, orange light. And it's if anybody's ever seen that, it's unmistakable that when they say that, you'll know what it is, right? So anyways, this big object is now flying over the Sierra Vista, which is home to a military base, Fort Huachuca, and that's why the blimp is there for low-flying aircraft for smugglers and stuff like that. So anyways, we're discussing how big it is because we know how far away everything is because we live there, right? We know it's 5 miles. We know that blimp's 40 feet long. We know Sierra Vista's, right over here. We know. And as it cruises along, it's just cruising along. It starts to go north, and then it kind of turned for some reason and just kind of did an entire 180. That's what it appeared to be doing. Anyways, it did appear on the top of it. You could see a bunch of little lights. So this thing was huge, right? And I've never, in my years, seen anybody talk about anything that big flying along. I've heard about the triangle thing over the years, but nothing this big. So anyways, and then it just kind of flies off into the distance. So that is the edited version of what I tell people, right? Because the last part, which I think is the coolest part, okay, when I tell people this stuff, then it gets to where people have weird reactions, right? So anyways, while this massive object is flying over our heads, right, we're all hanging out, buddies, we're laughing, we're, oh my God, we're talking about this. I go, check this out. And I grab the guitar and I start to play Close Encounters of the Third Kind in the harmonics. Beep, boom, beep, boom, boom, beep, boom, beep, boom, boom. And I go faster and faster and faster, right? And now everybody's laughing, right? They're, oh my God, you're playing Close Encounters of the Third Kind and there's a UFO flying by, or flying over us, right? So people are they're just like laughing and having a great time. And so that happened, okay? And I don't tell people that. But also what happened during that time, when I was playing that, the lights on the damn thing started to dim and brighten as I was playing the harmonics. And then as I was doing it faster and faster, it would dim and get faster and faster. Not like blinking or anything crazy like that. So anyways, and then as I slowed down and stopped, the lights went completely solid again and it just kept cruising along. And was it contact? I don't know, and I don't care. But it was probably the most coolest thing I've ever seen. People, I don't tell people about it because it's a weird thing, but it happened around 96, and it may have been the same day as the Phoenix Lights. I don't know. I didn't hear about that. The Phoenix Lights.
What, 10 years later?
Probably about 10 years later. And then when we told our people, relatives and friends and family about it in town, in Tombstones is only 1,200 people. Immediately the rumors spread that we're all on drugs because we lived in Tucson, so nobody knew what we were doing or whatever. And everybody was freaking out about us. When I came back down like a week later, something like that, I mean, rumors were just crazy. And I was like, you guys can kick rocks, And then the other guys who were still living down there, I asked them if they told anybody, and they were just like, we're not telling anybody. So they just didn't want to talk about it because their friends and stuff like that started really just like looking all weird at them or whatever. Personally, I didn't give a crap, right? I could care less what those people think.
Because you're making this video, obviously.
Right. And when I would, so I kind of just put this in my mind that, okay, don't talk about that because people think it's weird. And when I tell people it's, they tend to, they take the first version and they're like wowed by it. And then when I tell them the other things that happen, the cool stuff, what I think is awesome and kick ass, then they immediately dismiss me as bullshit, right? And that's when it gets a little weird. And then during that time, for me, after that, I kind of just lost interest in the whole alien thing because in my mind, how can something this big fly down over a communications military base and fly across their base town? It's a military town, Sierra Vista, right? And nobody saw it. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. And nobody said anything about it. So in my opinion, it was like, okay, I've had enough of this crap. I'm moving on. So, and it took a while before I started watching, alien movies and things like that. And I've tried to watch some of the other stuff where people are giving their descriptions of the videos or whatever. They all look like they've just been traumatized by, somebody just beat them horribly bad. I saw something or whatever, right? And to me, it was the coolest fucking thing ever. And I don't know. That's what happened. And if anybody has any questions or something like that, leave me a comment and I'll reply to it. But that's it.